and things like that, because I think you want to find a person that's going to balance you out in life, and you want to find someone that really has the same goals and focus to me. And the thing that I admire so much about Jim Bob, and this is what I told my daughter, I said, is that I know that he shares his heart with me, and he really wouldn't have to, because I might not really know some things about him unless he was willing to open up and share those things.
Hey guys, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are having a really good day. It's Monday, January 17th. I'm back. I'm sort of feeling better, not totally there. We've got so much to catch up on. And you listen, there is a lot to talk about today because we have so many updates. I was busy over the weekend doing some investigations for you about a plane that was posted by a employee of the Duggars that appears to be in very serious disrepair, and I did some digging into this, and I have an update coming up on that in a minute. But this video is going to be about Josh and Anna and Josh's phone calls and visits at county. We are still waiting for the judge to basically decide when sentencing is going to happen. While this is going on, he is placed in county, in Washington County, and he's been staying there since December 9th. So he has been in a cell by himself for protective purposes, and prior to recently had only been allowed outside of his cell for about an hour a day. Now, we obtained records a couple weeks ago which had everything in the early stages, like his first month or the first few weeks. And what we did is we requested new records from December 28th to January 10th to give you a better understanding of who he's talking to and who's requesting to see him and who he's calling. So what I did was I dug into these records, and one thing I noticed right off the bat was the amount of money he is spending communicating or trying to communicate with people. So I did add it all up, you guys, and in total of 14 days, he spent over $300. So he spent $346.77 either making phone calls through a PIN debit program or through visitation. So the visitation is paid for by the person that visited, but the person that's visiting him the most is Anna Duggar. So the total bill for everything was $346.77. That's a lot of money. In the calls alone, it was over $200. So he's been racking up money, and that was in 14 days, you guys, 14 days. I think I did the math on Instagram, and I was looking at the number of times they communicated. It was like 81 in the span of 14 days. And it was over $280 that they were spending. On average, Josh is spending $24 a day communicating with people outside of the walls of where he's at. Which, if you know anything about Washington County, this center is overcrowded. There are literally people that do not have beds. They have no place to sleep. There are so many inmates. So Josh has special privileges here in that he has his own cell, he has his own bed, and he's clearly spending a lot of time on the phone. There's a lot of problems with this facility, and it's been documented extensively by KNWA, the local outlet in the area. So in the new records, though, one thing I wanted to note was that Josh Duggar's most frequently person called is Anna Duggar. But he's also been talking to his mom, his dad, he called Jed, he called David Waller, he also called Rob Spivey, and he called his attorney twice, and his attorney rejected his call. Like Travis Story over in his office, like, I don't want to talk to you, Josh. Seriously, he rejected his call twice. Okay, so he's talking to his mom and dad now, and not only are mom and dad talking to him, but they're also now starting to schedule visitations. So remember when we first showed you all of this, that Michelle and James, his dad, I know people get really confused when you put out James, but his name is James Robert. That's what his legal name is. So on documents, when you see James, you're usually thinking it's his dad. James, his other brother, is not James Robert. So if you see James Robert, that is his dad, Jim Bob. So what I noticed right off the bat is that Michelle Duggar started communicating with him and reaching out to him right after the beginning of the year. That Michelle schedules a visit with him was on the 2nd, on 2022. And they spoke for about 5 minutes with a video visitation. But then she actually scheduled quite a few more visits. Anna's still the most frequent person that's doing visits with him. But Michelle actually spoke with him on the 8th, on the 10th, and then his dad, for the very first time, spoke with him on the 10th during a video visit and spoke to him for about a half an hour. And so Mr. Jim Bob waited about a month to talk to Josh over the phone or in a video visit. But Josh has been calling his dad as well. In total, though, Anna, again, is the person that is most reaching out to Josh in the most scheduled visit. None of his siblings have scheduled a video visitation with him at all. So that's also interesting to note. So Josh is behind bars. He has not called any of his siblings but Jed the one time, and that's it. His sisters are not calling him. His brothers are not calling him. His brothers are not scheduling visits with him, and Josh is not contacting his brothers. So Josh is clearly on the outs with his siblings if he's not getting anyone talking to him. He's got only his mom, his dad, and his wife that are basically communicating with him. He called Rob Spivey twice, he called Jed twice and talked to him once, and he called David Waller. And that's it. Like, nobody else is contacting Josh. So when I was looking through the phone calls, Josh again is calling Anna the most. And when I was looking through the amount of time that these two are spending together on the phone, there are days that they are logging between the video visits and his phone calls over 2 hours a day in communication. So every single time he calls her, he has to use what's called a PIN debit, which means he has to pay for the call. A PIN debit card is a card that's offered to inmates, which you can preload with money. And the family can load money onto the card so that Josh can make phone calls out. So he has a debit that has a number, and he puts the PIN in, and then he can call Anna or his mom or his dad or whoever. So he's paying for phone calls collect, technically, in that he's paying for the phone calls that he's making out, and then people are paying to see him and paying to contact him. So he has all of these fees that he's incurring right now. He is speaking on the phone way more than probably the average inmate, and the amount of time the two of them are spending together on the phone or in video communication is extensive. Now, some of you will ask, are kids allowed to speak to their dad, or can kids speak to their father, or are kids allowed during the video visit? So according to the rules in Washington County, the maximum people that can be on a video visit through the kiosks is 2. Now this is actually through like their regular visiting. So if you were to go to the center, a maximum of 2 people can come in, and 2 children. But children actually have to get approved by the detention center before they can actually visit with whoever they're visiting with. So if they're visiting with mom and dad, they would have to get approval from the detention center, which likely means that he would have to get approval from the court, because right now he is not a Washington County detention center inmate. He is being held for the federal government. So you have to remember that the federal government's rules would apply here, and what the federal government allows is going to be what the federal government allows. So before he was actually arrested, Josh was allowed to see his children whenever he wanted. I don't know what's happened since then. I don't know if since the guilty verdict has come down, if he would be allowed to see his children in these videos. So one question could be, is Anna bringing her kids into the video visits, and that's why they're talking so frequently? Is Josh calling so that he can talk to his kids? Or is he calling Anna just to talk to Anna? That part remains unclear. I'm inclined to believe, and I hope, that the court is limiting the contact that he has with his children as they await sentencing, because I'm guessing as a part of this process, they are going to determine if his kids are at any risk of Josh. And I'm also wondering if there might be some restrictions on his contact with them, so that he cannot influence what they do or say at the sentencing, or he cannot influence any outcomes of any forensic evaluations that might take place. So right now, he's speaking to Anna, and I don't know if he's speaking to the kids. So right now I don't know if he's speaking to just Anna or to the kids. I guess if he was speaking to the kids, I could probably understand wanting to contact Anna so much a day. But in the same time, I would think that why do you get access to your kids when you are literally convicted of doing things that involve kids? There's something like not right in my mind about that. But again, he's a parent. So a parent cannot have custody when they're behind bars. So he doesn't have parental rights to his kids while he's incarcerated because he's physically not there and he cannot have custody of the kids while he's in prison. So I hope at this point someone is stepping in for the kids, although we don't know because all of those records are sealed. But the long story short is that Michelle and Jim Bob are speaking to him. None of his siblings are talking to him, but the amount of money he's spending is a lot. I was looking at this and I looked at the number of calls he's making a day along with the amount of money he's been spending, and he's spending on average $24 a day in communicating. That's a lot. If you were to take that by 30 days in a month, you've got $720 in a month. You would have $8,760. So he would be spending a year just communicating with people. Now, when he goes to federal prison, that's going to change because he won't have the same access to communication as he does in county. County is a way different ballgame than federal. But right now, he's spending a lot, $24 a day on average communicating, and up to 2 hours a day talking to Anna. So we'll have to wait to see what happens. Josh Duggar's attorneys plan to file motions on the 19th. They just released transcripts yesterday, although they are redacted and will not be released to the public until February. So if you were hoping to get transcripts of what went down in court in December, you're going to have to wait a little bit longer. And there is still no sentencing date on there's nothing scheduled for sentencing yet at this time. All right, you guys, I'll be back later with more. Tell me what your thoughts are in the comments below. Bye, guys.